at Sonos, and especially with a product like the Arc, our goal is to deliver the best sound for all the content that you're listening to. So whether that is a podcast, whether it's simply stereo music, all the way up to a cinematic experience that you would get with an Atmos, you get with Atmos content. So our goal is for all of that to sound incredible. And what really interested us about Atmos was that that's a way a lot of creators are making film and video content now. If you look at newer content that's mastered for the theater or mastered for Netflix or these other streaming services, more and more of it is in Atmos, and it's created that way. So really the best way to experience it, we believe, in your home is the way that the artist intended it to be experienced. And in a lot of cases now with new video content, that is with Atmos.
Now on the show, let's talk about audio, because one of the kings of multi-room audio is Sonos. They've been doing amazing stuff for a number of years. Many of you have been talking about how you're excited about this next product from the guys at Sonos, the Sonos Arc, and I want to talk about this one in a little bit more detail today. And we're joined today with a very special guest, Ryan Richards. He's the Director of Product Marketing for Sonos, to take us through this product. Look, welcome to the show first and foremost, Ryan. A new soundbar from you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Thanks. Yes, we're very excited about the Arc and to have the world take a listen to it.
Look, you guys aren't just a device company. You make multi-room audio solutions, but you're just as much about the hardware as you are supporting that hardware and providing ongoing updates and new features.
Yeah, that's right. So Sonos isn't just devices. It's also a software platform, an application, and the way that all of those speakers work together in your home to give you a full sound experience, really, in not just the living room, but all rooms of your home.
For many people, when they think of multi-room audio, they don't talk about multi-room audio. They say, I'm going to get a Sonos, right? They're not going to get a whole home audio solution. For you guys, is that because you're the earliest, you're the most innovative, you've got the widest reach? Where does that sort of understanding of your brand as the actual solution, where do you think that actually comes from?
Yeah, I think part of it comes from being very early to the market, but we weren't the very first multi-room audio solution. I think the reason why you see that ubiquity is that we really have a focus on being very easy to use, being really transparent for the customer. I think that was not just being early in the market, but really focusing on those things, not focusing so much on having the technology in your face, but trying to create something that was really easy for people to use and to integrate into their home. Multi-room audio has been a thing for actually a long time in some form or another. But really our mission was to make that something that was accessible to everybody.
The interesting thing with what you're doing now, Sonos Arc, a new soundbar, it's a Dolby Atmos soundbar, which, if for anyone who hasn't actually heard Dolby Atmos before, you must listen to it. You must make sure your next soundbar has Dolby Atmos. It is a sensational feature to include. Tell me about the Arc, and tell me about the importance of adding a feature like Dolby Atmos to it.
Sure. So Arc is our new premium soundbar. It is extremely powerful piece of audio equipment. It has 11 drivers, so that's 8 regular drivers, 3 mid drivers, that is 3 tweeters. 2 of those 8 drivers are the upward firing ones that deliver the vertical Atmos soundstage. And a little bit about Atmos. So, at Sonos, and especially with a product like the Arc, our goal is to deliver the best sound for all the content that you're listening to. So whether that is a podcast, whether it's simply stereo music, all the way up to a cinematic experience that you would get with an Atmos, you get with Atmos content. So our goal is for all of that to sound incredible. And what really interested us about Atmos was that that's a way a lot of creators are making film and video content now. If you look at newer content that's mastered for the theater or mastered for Netflix or these other streaming services, more and more of it is in Atmos, and it's created that way. So really the best way to experience it, we believe, in your home is the way that the artist intended it to be experienced. And in a lot of cases now with new video content, that is with Atmos. And we take a lot of care to make sure that we are providing an authentic experience there. One of the things that we do during the product development process really is an ongoing task is we work with a board of artists, musicians, producers, and sound engineers. We call them our soundboard. And they're a group of industry professionals that help us tune these speakers really by just listening to their own content and getting feedback on how it sounds. And so partnering with them to ensure that you're getting the most accurate experience in your home based on what they engineered the content to sound like is really important for us. And Atmos is a piece of that, absolutely.
So with this soundbar, with the Arc, it's coming out on June 10 here in Australia. It's going to be $13.99. You can pre-order at Sonos.com, but that's not all the questions I've got for you on the soundbar. You being a multi-room solution, is this a product that we can just buy on its own and put it in our home, or are we really wanting to integrate this into a wider Sonos solution in our home? I guess my question really is about on its own, will we get a great experience, or do we need to sort of add that wider ecosystem to our home to get the most from it?
Yeah, our goal with any product is to make the product itself a standalone fantastic solution. So if you buy an Arc and you install it on your TV, you're going to have a great sound experience for your living room. Now, there's a number of different ways that being Sonos that we enhance that. First of all, we're one of the few companies that gives you the option of modularly expanding your home theater setup. So you can just have an Arc. You can also add our wireless subwoofer as an option, and then of course you can also add two other Sonos speakers as rears behind you to get a full acoustic surround experience. But like you said, Arc is part of something bigger. So it isn't just that you can have an Arc. You can just have an Arc in your living room, and that's a fantastic experience. And I think that if you're in the market for just a soundbar, Arc is a great solution for you. But unlike a lot of soundbars, it's kind of like that's just the sound for your TV, and then that's all you've got. With Sonos, you buy the Arc today. 6 months from now, if you want a speaker for your kitchen, you buy a Sonos speaker, you can group those speakers together, and then all of a sudden you're getting your TV sound in your kitchen. I do this all the time. You're watching sports, you're watching a movie, you or your partner wants to go in the kitchen and do some cooking. You're not missing anything because you group them together, then all of a sudden your TV sound is in the kitchen. Now, so having just the Arc doesn't detract from any sort of experience in your living room, but you always have that option to expand your system and get more over time. And I think that's the real benefit with Sonos. It's not that, I've heard that before, that people think, to really get the advantage of Sonos, I have to fill my house with them. And I don't think I don't really think that's true. I think the advantage is you get the solution that you feel is tailor-sized for what you want.
At the heart of it is always going to be about the sound, right? And you guys do spend a lot of time and a lot of energy really refining that, and it is important. And it's a good understanding to know where that all comes from, and to have that sort of board of musical experts who are listening and helping you to refine. Because at the end of the day, if you're just a bunch of engineers sitting around trying to make good sound, you don't really know how to tweak things for the different applications that the sound is supporting, right? And this has been in the fabric of Sonos ever since the beginning, as I understand it.
Yeah, that's right. I think, there's really three pieces to Sonos's sound approach that I would probably highlight. One of them is the soundboard that I already touched on. The first, of course, is just making really high quality components and and sonic devices. So we custom build all of our own drivers, all of our own enclosures. We take a lot of care in the actual nuts and bolts and the numbers of sonic engineering. But kind of like you said, sound and especially art is a human medium. And so you can't really get all the way there. You can't get to great sound just with measurements and just with numbers. You really need that human feedback. And we get that from the creators, from them telling us, hey, I actually thought, a good example is that we have a story when our team was playing Arc for Chris Jenkins, who is a Academy Award winning sound engineer. And he did the sound on Mad Max Fury Road. And when we played back Mad Max for him, he kind of sat there and he said, oh, that sound, it's kind of like right now it's going from the middle front to the middle back. It should actually be kind of going to the middle right. And it's those little pieces of feedback. It's impossible for us to just engineer that, sort of looking at the nuts and bolts. You really need the creator to tell you those sort of things. And then the final thing that we do that's a little different is that the kind of sound experience you get is extremely dependent on your space, on what your living room is like, on where you put your speaker. And so there's only so much we can do with creators or do at the factory or when we're engineering it to make the sound as good as possible. But when it gets into your home, there's a lot out of our control. So what we do is we actually have a technology you might already be familiar with called TruePlay. And that is the ability to take a Sonos product and use your iOS device, the microphones in your iOS device, and actually custom tune it for the room that you place it in. And while we think, and every Sonos product does sound great coming from the factory, it is that little kind of last step that really customizes that sound for your room and your space. And it's even more impactful with something like Dolby Atmos, because not only that, you have a regular kind of horizontal sound stage of traditional surround sound, but you have that vertical sound stage where drivers need to fire sound up, it needs to bounce off of a ceiling. And so the height of that ceiling and how loud those vertical firing drivers need to be are actually really important variables into getting a good Atmos experience. So for us, being able to use something like TruePlay to understand the dimensions and acoustics of the room that the product is in can really help kind of push the sound experience that extra mile.
When we look at the integration of the software and the software features with Arc, we're looking at things such as Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant. You've got Apple AirPlay 2 in there as well. And no doubt, and we've sort of briefly discussed this, in the future there'll be other things that you want the Sonos experience in your home to provide and to attach. And this is a good thing, adding those features, but I guess now that you've been around so long, there is that legacy issue that you're now starting to come to having to deal with, I suppose, because you've got a lot of loyal customers who have got products. Your products actually last a long time and sound good for a long time. I mean, we've got like one of your first Sonos speakers here that sounds as good today as it always did. You're running into this legacy issue. You've built a way of managing that. Can you just talk to me about how you're managing legacy across your speakers and what the plan is moving forward from here?
Sure. So, like you mentioned, and we even mentioned at the top of the show, we've been doing this for a long time, longer than a lot of other companies. And what we are doing with products like Arc is we are adding a lot of innovation. Dolby Atmos is a good example of one of those things, but there's a lot else too. And some of our very oldest products, because Sonos is a system, can't all keep pace with that innovation. They're on old computing platforms. They have less memory than, say, you'd be surprised. Some of these products were released in 2005 and times like that. So what we have done that I think is that I think it was the right thing to do is we've created a new application and software and software operating system that we call S2, and that powers all of the new products. So Arc and also the new Sub and the new 5 that we announced at the same time as Arc, they all run exclusively on this new Sonos S2 app and software. And all of our other modern products will work on that software too. Now, those very oldest legacy products that you mentioned, those products will continue to work on our current software, which will be renamed S1. And so customers who have older products, they will be able to continue to use the software in S1 through the future. And then so that way they can maintain the current experience that they have today, that's supported today, but then the modern products and the current products can go forward in the S2 app. And then using S2, we will add those future innovations into S2, like you mentioned before.
And will they still sort of be part of that same network? Will the legacy ones, can I, like if I want to listen to a song, can I have an old legacy, the original one from 2005, for example? Can I have that playing the song at the same time, the Arc, for example, or are they going to be on separate networks?
So the S1 and S2 products will be on separate networks. So if you have, okay. I mean, networks is maybe not the right way to put it. They'll still be like on your same home Wi-Fi network, but they will operate as separate systems. And we're going to have quite a bit of information detailing that on June 8th when we launch the S2 software.
Okay, very good. All right, good to see innovation that is going on from the world of Sonos. I mean, they've been making great sound for a number of years. The Sonos Arc is the new soundbar. Dolby Atmos is one of the key features. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there as well. We don't have time to go into all that today, but June 10 it comes out. It's going to be, you can pre-order it now through Sonos.com. It's $13.99. But for local retailers here in Australia, it is Harvey Norman and JB Hi-Fi. They're obviously the two biggest. They're the places to go and have a look at there. More details are on the Sonos.com website. But always good to have a chat with the guys at Sonos. Ryan Richards, thank you for joining us today and taking through the Arc, a great piece of kit for your lounge room.
Thank you, Charlie.